What up, y'all? It's your guy Dawson from D&D TV. Thank you for rating, commenting, and subscribing. Everybody who's donated, those of you all who will, I appreciate it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All the information on how you can support this channel is in the description box below. Also, go over to my other YouTube channel, Dawson Speaks TV. Make sure you subscribe over there. I appreciate it. Now, I told y'all I'd keep y'all up to date with stories that I've done in the past. And this story, I think I did it in December of last year, or maybe I did it in January, a couple months ago. And it was of this pastor right here, Pastor Albert Weathers, up in Detroit, Michigan, who is charged with murdering the transgender woman Kelly Stowe. Now, one thing about this, y'all, I was just gonna do those videos and let this case go, but somebody sent this to me and they were like, Dawson, you gotta see this. And as I saw this preliminary hearing, I was like, man, you know what? My audience has to see this. Because one thing I had said about Pastor Albert Weathers, and I asked you all the question, I was like, was he tricked? Was he trying to silence Kelly Stowe because he didn't want his wife and his church to know? He said that Kelly Stowe tried to rob him and he didn't even know that area and he didn't even know who Kelly Stowe was. But see, the thing about a lie is that if you lie about one thing, you got to make sure you cover up all the other lies that are going to come falling down, especially if you get caught in one. And since he's in jail right now and going through this preliminary hearing, the prosecution was like, we don't think Kelly Stowe is the only transgender woman you've been with. So, you know they went out on the prowl looking, and guess what? They found another one. This individual right here, Kyra Butts, who said that the pastor always frequented the Palmer Park area. And when they asked, well, when's the last time you saw the pastor in the Palmer Park area? Kyra Butts said, a week before Kelly Stowe passed away. And so the prosecution was like, So now, have you and the pastor ever had any type of fellowship, any communion, any kind of, hookups? Said, yeah, a few times. And not only did the pastor have hookups with Kyra, but other, as they call them in the courtroom, survival sex workers, or they call it survival workers, or whatever they called it. Several transgender prostitutes in the Palmer Park area. This has to be so embarrassing for this man's wife. Not only for his wife, but for his church. That's why I always say, women, that's why I do my show. For the women and the men, but definitely for the women as a social worker, I'm tired of y'all sitting around acting helpless, acting hopeless. You better, if y'all listen to me, you're going to have to open your eyes, or you're going to have to open your eyes, or you're going to unsubscribe. Because I'm not going to keep you in the dark on what's going on in the world while you running around the church and sha. No, it's time to think, because your life depends on it. And in his wife's case, the embarrassment that follows it, and for his church members too. Y'all watch this. I'm not coming back with any more commentary because this is going to be long, but y'all leave y'all comments at the end. Oh, and another thing, before I get into the actual video I'm going to show y'all, let me say this. On the last video I did on Kelly Stowe, and the one before that, I think it was on the Dwight Howard situation when he was with the he was with the cross-dresser. And there were a lot of people in there who was like, oh, these dudes ain't trick. And then there was some people in both comments sections on both videos were like, oh, that's it. Look at that that's a thing, this thing, and all this stuff. And my question to y'all critical thinkers, I know you could think and say whatever you want to say. I don't care. Who's sleeping with them? Think about it. Who picking them up? See, it's a thing that in society, you see the transgender women on the streets. You see the biological women on the streets at night, prostitute. Who picking them up? And some of these people do not differentiate from a transgender woman, from a biological woman. They just want to get their fix. So who's picking this so-called it up or this thing up? Come on now. Y'all got to think. And especially y'all women, because y'all the ones be sitting up in the health department and in your clinics talking about, I don't know how I got it. And we have to look at you. Oh, we know how you got it. And when you ready to fully face reality that your relationship is a sham, then you can walk out of that mess. Some of y'all are so desperate for a commitment from somebody who can't even be committed to themselves. They're not even committed to their cell phone carrier. You think they're going to be committed to you? You looking for a commitment when really all you need is clarity. Watch this video.
Raise your right hand. State your full name.
Tavares Betts.
Okay, I
Tavares Betts.
swear or affirm to tell the complete truth.
Yes.
Please enter the door 2 steps there. There's going to be questions put to you by both attorneys. I need you to listen very carefully to the questions that are put to you and only answer the questions that are asked. If you do not understand the question, please do not answer that question. Let the attorneys know they will refer you. If there is an answer that you choose to answer, a question that you choose to answer yes or no to, please do say yes or no. Do not shake or bob your head, say yes, I mean, or Those things do not translate to a court report.
Yes.
If you hear anyone say objection, please stop immediately. Do not say anything else, and we'll straighten out all the legal concerns that might be involved with that question or that answer. And lastly, please let the attorneys finish their question before you start the answer. Is that fair?
Yes.
Your witness.
Thank you. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Ms. Betts, would you please state your name for the record?
Tavares Betts.
What is your name that you use every day?
Kyra.
Your legal name is Tavares?
Yes.
You're a transgender woman?
Yes.
Just because I'm not getting, would you spell that, please?
My legal name?
The name, yes, your legal name?
Tavares. T-A-V-A-R-E-Z. Last name Butts. B-U-T-T-S.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Your family and friends call you Kyra?
Yes.
Ms. Butts, I'm going to take you back to December 7th of 2018. Did you know a person by the name of Kelly Stowe?
Yes, I do.
How did you know Kelly?
That was like a very close friend of mine. You could say like a best friend, a sister.
You hung out together frequently?
Yes.
Can you please tell me what you know about the area of 6 Mile and Woodward and 6 Mile and John R?
Well, generally...
Object as to relevancy for that, Your Honor.
Well, this would be the relevant area to the case, Your Honor.
But why do we have to have a lay witness testify as to that?
This would also be, do I have to lay a foundation, Your Honor?
Pardon me?
Would you like me to lay a foundation?
Please.
This is the area where this witness would encounter the defendant and would also encounter Kelly Stowe and Kelly Stowe in the presence of the defendant.
Again, my objection is I thought we were limited to what happens on December 7th, 2018 as opposed to the past.
No, sir. You're limited to anything that is likely to prove any particular event happened. Often things lead up to things. If I was planning a robbery 3 days before, it's not irrelevant what I did on that day prior to, because those are actions that may have led to something on this particular day. So as long as it is relevant to what occurs, it is admissible.
Ms. Butts, can you please tell me about the area that I just addressed?
Yes, 6 Mile and Woodward, that's the area mainly where you find a lot of LGBTQ, transgender women, and also a lot of, in my words, sex workers.
Did you do survival sex work?
Yes, I did.
Okay. What area would you work in?
Either on between 6 Mile and 7 Mile and Woodward, or 6 Mile and John R, between 6 Mile and Nevada.
And where would Kelly typically work?
Nevada, along with me, 6 Mile.
Objection as to there's no foundation for that, Your Honor.
She
Where
knows Kelly
Kelly
Stowe,
would
she
work.
hung out with her frequently, they were very close
She
friends.
just indicated they were very close friends, and she indicated that it was her best friend, so she can testify to the habits and actions of.
But she may be testifying to hearsay. There's no foundation there.
Did you ever see Kelly Stowe doing survival sex work
Yes,
frequently?
yes.
Where would she work?
On John R, between 6 Mile and Nevada.
And would you sometimes accompany her when she was
Yes,
working?
I would.
And that's again that 6 Mile John R area.
Yes.
Right. Do you know a person who is Albert Weathers?
Yes,
Do you see him in the courtroom today?
yes I do.
For the record, could you please indicate where he's seated and what he's wearing?
He has on the green Wayne County outfit.
Let the record reflect the witnesses identified the defendant, in this case, Albert Weathers.
Record will so reflect.
How do you know Mr. Weathers?
Also, I've had encounters with Mr. Weathers in the
Object as
past.
to relevancy, Your Honor.
I'm asking how she knows Mr. Weathers and can
Right.
identify him in this courtroom today. How is that not relevant?
I think it's bringing in prejudicial information designed to try to smear my client, Your Honor. That's what.
Well, I mean, I don't know how to design and smear your client if the person actually knows your client and knows some of his actions, if they are his acts. So smear would suggest that it is something that is made up. She's testifying to something that she knows.
No, I'm saying it's not relevant to what you're determining here in terms of any prior alleged sexual activity between my client and this witness.
Well, it can go to why your client was in that area, if in fact he was.
But
at
in
that
fact,
particular time.
you're going to hear that he was in the area to go to that gas station on his way from some
No,
other.
that is your client's position, sir. The people do not have to accept your client's position. They can go forward with their theory as well. And that's the way a trial works. So you'll have your theory, they'll have their theory, and the jury will make a determination what occurred on that particular day. They're not bound by your statement, your client's statement as to why he was there.
My simple objection is any alleged prior sexual activity between this witness and my client is not relevant to the charges here.
Well, I disagree, counsel. It is admissible for your counsel.
Ms. Butts, how do you know Albert Weathers?
We've had prior engagements in the past,
Okay. When you're talking about engagements, what do you mean?
hookups, like sex work. He was one of the guys that I hooked up with.
And where would you encounter Mr. Weathers?
On Woodward mainly, between 6 Mile and 7 Mile.
Okay. And when you were working with Kelly, did you and Kelly ever encounter Mr. Weathers together?
She didn't get in the car, but yes, he was rode past and we saw him and had discussions about him.
And when you say road pass, can you please explain to the court how it works when you're on this roll?
Generally, I'm going to call them Johns. The Johns, they ride around Woodward, around John Nar, typically looking, trying to see who they want, if they want to pick someone up. And he would drive around a lot before he would pick someone up. So,
And you would be with Kelly at times that he was
yes.
Objection
Passing
to
by.
leading. This
Yes.
is leading, Your Honor.
That was-
clarifying her statement.
Well, if she's already said it, it's not leading. You can rephrase something that she said or paraphrase it back to her to be a follow-on question. But in that particular case, I do find that you were leading. So
Did you and Kelly ever encounter Mr. Weathers while the two of you were working?
Yes.
And how many times did you go on a date with Mr. Weathers?
I can't name like a number.
Like too many to tell, or
Yeah, it was more than 2.
less than 10?
Less than 10, yes.
More than 2?
Yes.
What time frame are we talking about?
Like as far as like the year or like the time and the day of the day?
How many, over the course of how many years?
Okay, well I had to say that my first encounter with him had to be around 2008, 2009, because that's when I first started coming around the area.
And to your knowledge, did Mr. Weathers only patronize you, or did he patronize other girls?
Again, Your Honor, there's no foundation for her knowledge of that, Your Honor.
but she's already indicated that she would work the streets with the complainant often. So she, I guess I'm not sure how you're asking if there's no foundation. She said that's her area of knowledge and work.
Well, my concern is it may be based on hearsay as opposed to her actual.
And you can ask those questions as well. So.
Do you have knowledge of Mr. Weathers picking up other trans women?
Yes.
Okay. How do you have that knowledge?
I saw him pick up other women, and like we have discussions about the people who we mess with sometimes.
And
When you say
that's
we
the
have
hearsay.
discussions,
Okay, hold on.
when you say we have discussions, who are you talking about?
We, as in the other girls that I know, that I've worked with out on the streets.
Okay, so you would also personally see Mr. Weathers engaging with other trans women?
Yes.
And Kelly Stowe was one of these women that worked in the
Yes.
same area with you?
Objection
Yes.
to leading, Your Honor.
Well, we're going back over the area
That
you
is
didn't
something
talk
that has already been stated. You cannot leave what has already been placed on the record. So.
Ms. Butts, how would Mr. Weathers, well, I'm going to ask this. There come a time when you stopped taking dates from Mr. Weathers.
Yes.
Was there a certain thing that Mr. Weathers would do whenever you had dates that
Yes.
caused you to stop taking dates? with
Your
him?
Honor, again, I have to object as to the lack of relevancy of this. Any interchange between my client and this witness is not relevant to the proceedings here and the charges here.
Your Honor, under MRA 406, a person's habit or routine is admissible, and his habit or routine in engaging with this witness is relevant in this case. It is our theory of the case that this was a transaction that had gone wrong. So her experiences with him and the way that he would behave and his habit and routine in dealing with Ms. Butts are highly relevant in this case.
doesn't mean that's how he dealt with anyone else other than her.
That's
my
your argument.
It's not grounded in the evidence in this case. It'd be something between those two. It doesn't show habit or routine. It shows you something between these two. I don't believe
Which
that's
two?
the witness who's
The
testifying
witness testifying
and my client.
Except she's already indicated she's seen your client with other people, including the complainant.
Well, I understand that, but what she's testifying to is singular to the actions and activities between these two,
So
my
you're-
client and this witness. I don't think it's relevant.
406 states evidence of habit of a person or of the routine practice of an organization, whether corroborated or not, and regardless of the presence of eyewitnesses, is relevant to prove that the conduct of the person, Mr. Weathers, on a particular occasion was in conformity with the habit or routine practice.
That's between these two as opposed to anything
No, that's not
beyond
what it
this.
said, sir. That's not what that rule said. It did not say between only one or two individuals. And she's already indicated, sir, not only did he patronize her, but she has seen him patronize others, including the complainant in this case. So, it is admissible for that reason, sir. To explain why your client was there on any particular date and time. It doesn't mean that because your client was there and he patronized survival sex workers that he shot and killed her. Those are two separate things, but it does explain explain why he would be there at a particular time, sir. And that's one of the things that the people have to prove, that your client was there to commit a crime, and she can do that. So.
Ms. Butts,
Although your client kind of, in his statement, I mean, which we haven't seen the statement, but I understand, well, I won't go into that. That was something that was said in another hearing, it's not for this record to this. So go ahead.
Ms. Butts, you stopped taking dates with Mr. Weathers.
Yes.
Did you have problems with collecting payment from Mr. Weathers?
Objection as to leading, Your Honor.
There was no answer suggested, counsel. A leading question is a question that in the question itself is suggested answer. If the question had been phrased in such a way to say, and did you not have problems collecting? Because then we would know the answer. If she says, did you have collection issues? The answer could be yes, the answer could be no, the answer could be I don't remember, but I don't know the answer. Therefore, the answer was not phrased within the question itself, so it cannot be leading. Go ahead, counsel. It is a very direct question. It is a pointed question. It is a question that removes any kind of ambiguity as to what the question is being asked, but it is not a leading question.
No, are there any tissues?
I think we just ran out of tissue, so. I have another box. I apologize for the paper towel. We kind of go through a lot of Kleenex in this court.
Ms. Betts, did you have a problem collecting payment from Mr. Weathers?
Yes.
Tell me about that, please.
Okay, well, like I said, they write around first and try to select who they want. But with him particularly, he would pick me up and we would ride for about like 10 minutes. The discussions would be different, like different times. Like sometimes we get straight to the point and how much do you want? What are you trying to do? You know what I'm saying? That's how I ask my questions. What are we doing? With him, it was like a runaround. Like, okay, say if I ask for 50, he's gonna say, okay, I got it. But we'll ride around for 20 minutes and then now he's dropping me back off like, oh no, I don't want to do it, or oh, I don't have that price, or oh, I don't, after you just stated, yes, this is what you have, this is what we're doing. Or we would go to like a hotel or something like that and the price would not be what it was.
And you declined to take dates from Mr. Weathers after this happened so many times?
Yeah, that and other reasons, yes.
What other reason?
His attitude is like very like aggressive and kind of intimidating. Like if you're one of those easily intimidated people, and I just don't like altercation. He's
No.
too aggressive for me.
The trans women who work together in this area, do you discuss your dons?
Yes, some not in full detail, but we do like, oh, I know him, or oh, I see him, or girl, don't get in that car. Yes.
Did you and Kelly ever have any acknowledgement between each other regarding Mr. Weathers?
Again,
Not asking what she said.
It's objection
Yeah.
as to hearsay, Your Honor. this is a backdoor way of trying to get hearsay
She
in.
said she's not requesting a answer, she's only saying that they have the discussion. She didn't-
Did you and Kelly interact regarding Mr. Weathers?
Yes.
Thank you. Nothing further.
Yes.
On the date of December 7th, 2018, were you at the location on McNichols and Brush?
No.
All right, so you have no knowledge or any understanding of what occurred that early morning hours, is that correct?
Not at the time, no.
All right. And, well, let me back up here to see. I didn't quite get your name. It's Tavares Butts, is that correct?
Her name is Kyra.
Objection. The witness's name is Kyra.
Well, she said she goes by Kyra, but she also,
Oh, what-
when she took the stand, she said, she raised her right hand and said her name was Tavares Butts. So-
What's your real name?
Excuse me, Will. That is extremely insensitive and inappropriate.
No, it's not.
When she walked up and she said, what is, raise your right hand, state your full name, she says Tavares Butts.
Mr. Cripps is using this as an intimidation tactic. He knows that this witness goes by Kyra. At this point, he is seeking to embarrass and humiliate her.
Let me say this. There's a Sixth Circuit opinion that says I have a right to know who the identity of the person is on a witness
And
stand.
you know it.
And that's all I'm asking.
Right.
Because some people use aliases to hide crimes and things. Some people use that, and then when I read discovery, there's reference to different names. I have a right to ask that. There's nothing intimidating. What a good lawyer does, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Ms. But she also said in open court with her hand raised that she swore that her name was Tavares Butts. She said she
Yes.
goes by Kyra, though, so we know
Okay.
that.
Thank you.
She indicated what her name was on the record under oath.
All right. Do you go by any other names for your identity or for yourself,
Kyra?
other than the two you've given us so far?
Oh, Bridget, but no one knows that.
Okay. Within the last 10 years, have you been convicted of a felony or misdemeanor involving theft, dishonesty, or false statement?
No.
Okay. Again, you answered earlier, you have no idea about what occurred on December 7th, 2018 at that location on East McNichols. Is that correct?
No.
Okay. What you've testified to are things that happened in the past, prior to that date. Is that correct?
Can you repeat that?
What you've testified to in relation to questions by the prosecutor are things that happened in the past. Is that right?
Yes.
And some of it, if I heard you correctly, long time ago. Is that correct?
Some
Some
of it,
10
yes.
years ago?
Some of it, yes.
Yeah. When was the last time, prior to the date of December 7th, 2018, that you ever saw Mr. Weathers?
Did I see him or did I hook up with him?
See him?
A week prior to that day.
And where was that?
On Woodward. I was walking down Woodward.
Okay.
between
So you
6
saw
o'clock
him
in the
driving
day.
by?
Yes.
All right, y'all. That's all I have of this testimony, but please go ahead and go off in the comment section. Don't hold back. Let me know what you think about what you just heard. And also remember to support this channel and also to follow us on all social media. That information is down in the description box. Take care of yourself and each other. Peace.